As you're probably very well aware, the Mission Office does a lot of water projects and we do a lot of water tanks. Every water tank has a story. This is Roger from MNC Mission Office and you're with Mission Alive, and I want to tell you at least a little bit of some of the stories of tanks. We get applications in here in the office from overseas, all our places: Africa, India, Vietnam, Philippines, PNG, Kiribati, etc., Fiji. And we look at it and we process it, we put it into a database, and we get the details of the banking, and then we put it to the board for approval. And if they're approved, we send the money. And then we wait until the project is finished and our people overseas are quitted. Now you might think that's a fairly simple process, but I want to show you a little bit here which might help us to understand what we're talking about when we talk about water projects and tanks. Now there's a tank. It is in place. The first one, it has a gutter there bringing water from a roof somewhere, and the second one has a group of people around it that are quite happy. I'm not too sure where the water comes from. Could be reticulated in from somewhere out further up in the hills. Now there's a lot of stories about getting these tanks in place. Some of them, well, all of them have to be, they come out of a rotomoller factory into a hardware, and our people buy them from the hardware store, and then in some instances it has to be get onto a barge, which means a truck and a lot of labour, and they're put on the barge as in you see there, and then the barge sets off overseas somewhere over the sea. Now the barge of course costs money also. And away it goes. Then, well, often to get it to the barge, it can be put on a truck, and then you've got to get to a wharf. And in this case, it's loaded onto a banana boat, and these people are Gilbertese, and they may be taking these tanks to a place called Wagina. So they've got to set off across the ocean in these tanks, and there you see the dinghy going along the coast or maybe up the river or somewhere, and if you've got 6 tanks you have to do these trips 6 times. And then it gets to a beach somewhere, and this beach looks like it's very, very remote, and it's very low tide and possibly very shallow, so it's come on a boat or something probably far out to sea. And the guys have lifted it up, the boys have lifted it up, and this is how they carry it. They put these 4 timbers underneath, hoisted onto their shoulders, and away they go until they get it to the place where it is going to spend the rest of its life. And there it is in place on its concrete base with happy kids around it, and it's going to help those people. Now I don't know how long it took to get that tank into that place. Could take quite a long time. And here we have the sisters at Yule Island hauling the tank into place. The top has to be put on it because this tank where it's produced has a separated top to make it easier for transport. Then it is hauled into place with the help of some of the people, positioned properly, and now the sisters, after all the work, are cleaned up and enjoying the benefits of the tank. Now that tank had to be taken from Port Moresby, probably by truck out to Log Point, and then from there across on a dinghy and from the sea hauled up a short distance to the convent where it is now. Not an easy process. And here are people at Kiribati with their tank. And that's a very hot place, and as you can see, it's a lot of sand, so it would be a very thirsty place to live in. And these tanks too would have taken a long time to get there, and all of that is a further story. So getting a tank from its approval here and the money being sent to the bank account to getting a tank in place is often a very long process. And we have many stories of a tank taking 1 year or 2 years before it is finally in place and erected and in use and the acquittal made. This is all part of our story. This is all part of what the Mission Office does, and trying to help people out there in a very practical, down-to-earth way. Thank you for being part of us, and please continue to support our efforts.